Let's just make sure everything's working before we get in. But welcome everyone to the live stream today. Once again, crease top. I've just got in the door from work. I don't fold me clothes. It is what it is. Okay, slam us in the comments if you want. It's all fun and games. But yeah, I'll just let everyone get in before I start talking. I will wait until everyone gets in because I know there's a few people wanting to get on in this stream. They're not going to come in and be live and things like that. They're just going to get involved in the comments, which would be great. So I will let everyone come in gradually, but obviously we'll start the usuals as normal. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, leave a comment. It's much appreciated. But yeah. Big news today. Big news today for Newcastle. If you haven't already been aware of what's happening at the club, it's safe to say that we're signing a really good player. It's amazing, the player we're signing. Alexander Isak, obviously he's just completed his first stage of his medical, which is huge for the club. It's understood that the deal's 58 million plus like 5 million add-ons. But let's remember, Isak had an 80 million euro release clause. So obviously, Real Sociedad need the money. So it's understood of why they've came back and obviously accepted that deal. It was understood obviously in January that Isak was favoured and he was apparently going to Arsenal. There's apparently loads of leaked images of his car being in and around Arsenal, but it's just apparently a car that he hires out, which is interesting. But once again, have Newcastle snapped up another Arsenal player they've went for? We did it with Guimaraes. Guimaraes turned down Arsenal, came to Newcastle. Could this be another one? Who knows? He might slip up and say it in an interview. But yes, 14 minutes ago, there was a video released of Isak leaving the Benton training ground. He has indeed completed his first part of his medical, and he will go and do a stage 2 of where he'll do like scans and things, which is it's completely understandable. It's a record fee, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't start on Sunday because obviously Wilson is looking to be injured for up to 3 to 4 weeks. But yeah, massive news. One that just sort of like it didn't even go and get broken to the media as such. We knew he was a target. He was a top target, but obviously no one ever expected Newcastle to go and try and sign 2 of their top targets in this window, which is it shocked a lot of fans to say the least. Obviously Sven Botman being one, and obviously Isak being another. But yeah, I'm going to cut to the chase. I did say there was going to be a lot of things that I would release in this video. Well, not a lot of things. There's one massive thing that I've been given information on that we'll talk about in this video. But obviously, I still have to talk about another couple of things in regards to Newcastle. Another one being a player that's been linked to going out of the club, Martin Dubravka. It's understood that Man United have approached Newcastle for Martin on loan. If I'm totally honest, it makes no sense. Newcastle went and got Nick Pope because they want someone to get a bit of competition with Dubravka. That was the whole reason of why Martin Dubravka obviously was being the man with Nick Pope as a bit of potential and stuff like that for first team number 1 keeper. But obviously, with Man United coming in, it might change a few things. But I don't honestly think these rumours are true. I don't think we'll see there's a fly above my head. I don't think we'll see anything in regards to the Dubravka situation develop. Obviously, if his agent wants to have a go and say, he wants to leave, he wants first team football, then he's stupid because he's not going to get it at Man United. There's no way Dubravka's going to start over to here. He might try and say that he wants more wages or something like that. That might come out of that, but I couldn't say anything like this happening, if I'm totally honest. So it's a bit of a surprise. But anyway, we'll have a few questions in the chat, and I will get to yours in a second. Don't worry, we'll speak, and I'll get them over in a minute, and we'll talk a bit more, and I will answer the questions. The other one, obviously, Newcastle United did play yesterday. It was a very interesting game. Obviously, Dubravka didn't feature in that match. It was indeed Darlow, who is nowhere near as good as we need as a backup keeper. So it wouldn't make sense to let Darlow go. Not Darlow, Dubravka go. Obviously, Darlow and Gillespie, they're not good enough, sadly. I don't think we'll see them feature in the team as much. Depending, obviously, if Dubravka goes. So, the other one that we've been talking about time and time again, we're linked with him back in January, is Lucas Paqueta. Obviously, West Ham had a bid rejected. They've went back in for him again today. It's understood that it's around 53 million euros. It was announced that they've went in for him. I think it's like 40 odd million plus add-ons for Paqueta. It might develop, but the one thing is that I would be very surprised about in regards to Newcastle. Newcastle's targeted Dubravka just like they have with Sven Botman and Isak since January. I'd be very surprised if you don't see Newcastle make a move. But the one thing that's stopping this happening at the moment is the fact that the money is still on the table for Maddison. And obviously, we've seen today that out of nowhere, Maddison's apparently had a little, he's had a nick or whatever it is to his one of his legs. And apparently he's out for the weekend. Whether that's just protecting their assets and trying to take a guy at being the first team football, then I wouldn't be surprised on that front. James Maddison, I would love him to make a move, but a lot of people are still saying Paqueta this, Paqueta that. I would love Paqueta just because of we've seen the brotherhood between him and Gamara's, the fact that he came over to the UK when Gamara's originally signed and things like that. I would love to see them playing together on the same side, which is, if it doesn't happen, I'll be devastated. But it's all down to this Maddison deal. Obviously, we've seen it with the transfers. Eddie Howe's brought in a lot of English players. We're seeing them, obviously, there's Nick Pope, there's Target, there's Trippier, there's Byrne. There's a lot of English players that have been brought in this door by Eddie Howe and the recruitment staff in the background. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try their very best to make Maddison that number one target in the midfield position. We obviously know money isn't an obstacle with us. Obviously, FFP's generated over a period of time, but it's the right deals and the right amount of money that they're willing to pay. We've seen it with players that won't overpay the club. It's pretty obvious. They will not overpay and overspend for players. But yeah, that's the case on that one. The other one that I have got, and I've spoke about multiple times as well, is Pedro. So Pedro, from the information I was given, and obviously I've released it on the shorts, I've released it on the lives. Pedro was meant to be signed in today. That was just information I was given. I report what I was given. I'll not beat you around the bush. I'll not make anything up. If I've been told something, I bring it to you. And that's why if I'm not going to be one of these people, I told you so. But I will say, look, I did mention it on the show. That's what I'm about. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. It's fair enough. But I was told Pedro is booked in for a medical today. Pedro was meant to be in and having a medical today. Whether or not he's had a medical and no one's known about it and none of the media's managed to say it would be it would shock us, but it wouldn't at the same time because of how the English media have been with these transfers. We're seeing it obviously with this one. It was released 20 minutes beforehand in Spain before the UK media decided to get on it. So Pedro could still happen. There might be some issues behind closed doors that we don't know about, but we'll see on that front. Anyway, I'll get to using the chat because obviously we have spoke about Dubravka. So Michael's in the chat saying, hope we ask them to pay Dub's wages and charge the 12 million for the season. Not even going to lie to you, I would love it if we got a good bit of beneficial transfer money out of these deals. I would also love it if we messed them around and made them hold on as long as possible because of what they did with us and Lingard and Dean Henderson last year. I would really hope that we took the mick a bit and just made them hold on for ages. I don't want to see Dubravka go to Man United because I can't stand Man United. I really don't like them. Obviously, we're seeing massive movement with Man United. They've just agreed a deal for Frankie de Jong, which is obviously a different transfer, but Frankie de Jong is apparently on his way into Man United. Also, Anthony from Ajax, apparently he's on his way in. It looks like Man United's spending nearly like 180 million on 2 transfers in the next like 48 hours, which is absolutely incredible for them. But once again, the players, yes, don't get me wrong, Frankie de Jong, world-class player, but can he handle the Premier League? Don't know, but we'll look into that because everyone asks questions about if Paqueta and everything can handle the Premier League. So, yeah, we'll move on. So, another one here in the chat. Truls said 12 million loan fee for Dubs, which is Dubravka. Then as a thank you for the 12 million for Lingard. Once again, like Michael said, he obviously did say it in the chat as well. Great minds think alike, and so on. Totally agree, but at the same time, I hope we'll mess them around because, yeah, why not? Mess them around as much as possible, make them hang on. I wouldn't sell Dubravka to Man United. Can't stand them. Let them go and splash 180 million on two players. And hopefully it's like another Paul Pogba, where if they come in, they're absolutely useless, and then you see what happens to go on it free. So obviously Michael's first comment, this was a one that I have put in the title. If you're watching it back on YouTube, you will see it in the title. Diaby. Why have I put Diaby in the title? Here we go. So I'm going to read exactly what I was given. So I'll just get the message up again. So Moussa Diaby, Newcastle United. This was one of 3 top targets that Newcastle had on their list from when Eddie Howe stepped in and outlined these targets with the recruitment team. The 3 were Sven Botman for centre-back. There was also the man who's coming in now, Isak, at striker. So there's 2 out of the 3. The third one was Moussa Diaby. We understood that we'll try to go for Diaby, but Diaby wanted Champions League or European football. But here's where the situation changes with Diaby. We are highly interested in Diaby. Have never, ever taken that interest away. We've always been interested in Diaby in the full window. So, by the message that I've been given is Newcastle United look to be monitoring Diaby's situation due to the regards of him not being happy at the club. This is not saying that a deal can be done yet, but it's being monitored closely by Eddie and the backroom staff. Whether or not Leverkusen are down to a deal for Diaby is a different situation. It all comes down to if the club feel it's right and if the player wants to move to a club that haven't got Champions League or European football as of yet. The one good thing on at this point is St. Maximum may be one of the main players that's sent and told to speak to Diaby in regards to club vision and how he sees himself at Newcastle. As St. Maximum also has the same expectations as Diaby to play in Champions League football. So, you've heard it here first. Diaby, it's getting monitored. Will Bayer Leverkusen come knocking and say, look, we'll take your money? Will Diaby say, look, I'm willing to work, give us some incentives, and if we play Champions League football by the next season, the season after, I'll stay? Look, Bruno Guimaraes came to this club and we're winning Champions League or European football. There's got to be some incentives given to these players for them to want to sign Newcastle. It's not just pay packet or anything like that. They have to be given incentives because they want to play in the best sport league in the world. So they want to play in the best qualifications for certain things. So like Champions League, winning the Premier League, they want to play for them. So if they're getting the incentives to say this is what they're going to do, they're going to hold the club to that. So that's massive. Obviously, it was also stated that the one good thing as well is Bayer Leverkusen may have already got the replacement man for Diaby's exit. That man being Callum Hudson-Odoi on loan as present. It all sorts of ways up. It connects and it sort of connects and it makes sense. And Diaby is one of our top targets at a winger. As much as I said I would love Pulisic, I would kill for Diaby because I've defeated the object and said I don't think it would ever be possible. But when you look at this, it sounds more and more possible and more likely. Don't forget, transfer, like the budget, doesn't exist. We have a lot of money. The only issue we do have is beating FFP. FFP is generated over a 3-year period. So if Diaby can make a move to Newcastle, just imagine that front three. You've got St. Maximum, Diaby and Isak. And then you've got Wilson who could potentially come back in after his injury. Wow. What a team. even if somehow we manage to squeeze Paqueta or even Maddison in there, you're talking some team. You're talking like Newcastle will push for Champions League or European football this year. I already said in my prediction video, if you haven't already seen it, it is in the channel, that we'd finish 7th. I know it's not a Champions League position, but if we sign these players, I would have said when I did my prediction, if we had these players and then Newcastle were looking at a top 5. That's just facts. The players we're signing really are like a push for top 5. They played in Champions League. They played in European football. They know how to play in these games. Eddie Howe can really, really like make them something special in this team. So, to say the least, Diaby, let us know what you think. Would you like Diaby? Because I know a lot of people would love Diaby. We spoke about him in the past. I would, honestly, it just gets me excited thinking about it. But anyway, I'm coming back to the comments now. Truls said, really hope we get Paqueta too. I would love Paqueta, but obviously depends on the situation. If Leon are willing to wait a little bit longer, and obviously it gets to Monday, and then if Maddison's rejected, that deal is rejected and it's not progressed, then Paqueta may happen. But also, don't forget, right, this Isak deal happened behind closed doors. It happened in a scale of 48 hours. Dan Ashworth and Steve Nicholson were over in Spain trying to get this deal done for 48 hours straight, and they eventually got it done. So it just goes to show the dedication of the man, and he knows his job and things like that. So if Leverkusen comes crawling, or even Leon comes crawling, and they come knocking on the door and says, look, this is how much we want, can we get a deal sorted? Ashworth's not afraid to jump on a private jet tomorrow and go and have a word with the representatives and have a chat and things like that. But look at like Paqueta's agents are down in London at the moment. Doesn't mean that he's going to go and sign for someone in London. They just want him to go and play Premier League football. He wants to play Premier League football more than likely. So the next bit as well is, and I hate Manu since 95. Yeah, okay. Wilson would be better used as a super sub, so he won't get injured as much. Totally agree with you. But one thing is, we need Callum Wilson for his goals. But look at Isak. A lot of people comparing his stats from last season. He didn't have that well of a stats, but you need to remember, his head was probably all over the place. He was getting linked to this club, that club. It might have thrown him off a bit. He's coming to the world's hardest league, don't get me wrong. But if you watch his highlights and how he controls the ball and sort of like keeps it about himself as a striker, it just goes to show a lot about him. He's really, really good, and I'm really excited for him. I hope they do a big unveiling for him and things like that. That would be great, to say the least. But I was asked a question the other day on Twitter when I was DM'd by a guy. He says, do you think that Pedro would sign? If I'm totally honest, I don't know. I really don't know. If there's something wrong in the sort of back room of things, then no. But if there's just like a few complications and things, then yes. But I'm still surprised that we haven't seen much on Pedro. But you might get shocked. You might get a double unveiling today. But yeah, Aaron's in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Be mint if we got Diaby. Oh, it'd be absolutely outstanding. If we got Diaby, that front three's like Champions League threatening already. Like Diaby, wow. Imagine the speed of ASM and Diaby. Then you got Isak as well, because let's not forget, Isak's really, really fast. I guess Pedro might be playing right wing. Well, this is the one thing about Pedro as well. He's very versatile, so he plays across the front three positions. He has played in his youth times. He plays like a centre attacker midfielder, sort of false nine sort of style. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was used on the wings. But if Leverkusen come knocking on the door and they want money for Diaby, like Real Sociedad's done with Isak, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle make a push and they basically just say to them, look, we're willing to offer you this much for Diaby. And then also need to say to Diaby, here's the incentives. This is what we're going for in the next year. You're going to help it. Look at the signings we've made. they've made a statement signing in Isak. They broke the transfer record there. To go and get Diaby now, there's probably another record broken. But the interesting thing about Diaby, with Isak, is he had a 90 million euro release clause, and we've managed to get it under that, which is great. But there's two wingers that it's close to keep your eyes on. One of them's always been Paqueta. I've always said keep your eye on Paqueta because it makes sense. Financial wise, it's beneficial for the club. It just sort of makes sense and you understand it. But then once again, we've seen it with this Isak bid and the deal. Obviously, it's going to happen. We've seen that there's just money's not an obstacle with the club, obviously. The only thing they need to worry about is FFP, but you can get FFP. If we go and qualify for Champions League tomorrow, FFPs for this season's, you've got it. Because all the sponsorship and money and things like that that'll come in over the course of going in the Champions League is massive. So that would just completely write off FFP and we'll be fine. So another message here. I would rather have Diaby, of course. Yeah, so would I. If we get offered a chance to sign Diaby, I'd sign Diaby in a heartbeat. More than likely, I would sign Diaby in a heartbeat. Add Joe Linton and Bruno behind them three. Just gives you goosebumps. Like, think of the club literally 2 years ago. We're struggling for loans. Like, look at it now. Like, we're way ahead of the times. We're going to be fighting. We will fight for top 5 this year. My prediction will be thrown out the window. We may as well just tear it up and just fling it. See you later. I wouldn't be surprised if we're challenged for top 5 this year and we really throw off a couple of teams. Look when we played Manchester City. We stunned Man City. I know we drew 3-3, but we stunned Pep Guardiola. He knows how hard it is to come to St. James's Park, but we stunned him. He didn't expect to come and play against a team that did what they did. No way did he. We absolutely stunned Man City, and I think we'll stun a lot of other clubs this year. I made a joke to a guy that sits next to us with his season ticket the other day. I said, imagine if we go and do a Leicester. I mean, I know it's very, very unlikely because of how far ahead everyone else is in the league, but everyone said that about Leicester. Look at what they went to. They went and won the league. So anything's possible in the Premier League. It's the world's hardest league. By a mile. You can't disagree it's the world's hardest league. Look at Manchester United. They're like towards the bottom of the end of the table. I hope they stay there. But yeah. The chemistry Bruno and Paqueta has on the pitch is something every club dreams of, in my opinion. Massive. You know what? I'm just going to point that out. That comment is huge. It is. Because it's facts. If you watch Bruno Guimaraes and Paqueta play together when they were at Lyon together, that chemistry and the link-up play and the way they spot passes out is just something you've never, ever seen before. They thrive off each other. When you watch them, they thrive, which is it's just incredible. But yeah, it's just... I would love to see Paqueta out of the tune. But once again, loads of people have still split decisions. Paqueta or Maddison. The only reason I say Maddison because he played in the Premier League, but also people are saying Paqueta because he plays in Champions League often. And the one thing about Paqueta is he's very, very good on the ball and he's versatile as well because he can play as a false nine, he can play on the wing. He's a very versatile player. I would love him at the club. The only issue with him is it creates an issue later on down the line. I know we shouldn't worry about it now, but it will create an issue later on down the line when you've got 3 midfielders, all Brazilian, and potentially all could get called up for Brazil, and it would naff you when it comes to that tournament. But we might not have to worry about it for a few seasons. It is what it is. But anyway, that's sort of me covered that. Yesterday, just a little touch on the match. I think we played mint. You can see how much we've developed on set pieces and things like that. It's been pretty huge for the club. So set pieces mad. You can see how much Eddie Howe's really favoured on his set pieces. He said it before as well. He said how much he favours himself on his set pieces, and that's the key for us is getting them set pieces right. And he really beats himself up if he concedes from a set piece. We've seen it in his press conferences. He can't stand it if he concedes from a corner. So yesterday, the fact that he scored from 2 set pieces just goes to show that they're really all working on the training ground. But it was a really tough game. It was a tough game. Yes, there might be in League 2 and you may get slated for it. But guess what? Other leagues are different. And we had a much rotated side. Obviously, Emil Kraft, I really wish that... I hope his injury is not as bad as it looks. I hope a speedy recovery. because he is a really good player. Jamal Lewis looked really good on the ball when he came on. Elliot Anderson, another player that I just think, give him some first-team football because he's going to be exceptional. He's got a bright future ahead of him. Last couple of questions before I end the show. So, wrong one, sorry. And Paqueta is regular in Brazil. Yeah, he is. He's a regular player in Brazil. The South American International Games is in the summer. Have checked it, so it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I checked that as well. But I think the year after, it falls into the same time the season starts, which could be a bit of an issue. But we'll see what happens in regards to transfers and things. I'm really excited. I hope you are as excited as I am because it's unbelievable. But it's great to know. Then obviously things are happening in regards to the transfer front. We haven't just went quiet. It's happening. Like the big deals are happening. I still expect an exciting week next week going towards deadline day because it's without a doubt Newcastle's wanting a winger and they want a midfielder. There's no way you leave a midfielder out of this transfer window, especially when you've got Shelby with an injury that he has. Shelby's going to miss out on the squad until January. That's just fact. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a midfielder come in. That's why they made that bid from Maddison. Maddison just makes sense. He's English. He's played in the Premier League. He's got that quality you need in midfield. He can pick up pass and things like that. But I'd still love Paqueta. I fell in love with him from when we were linked in January. And I will still be in love with him. How's Fred getting called up for Brazil instead of Joe Linton? Joke. I agree with you. I'll be surprised if Fred gets called up in the next one. But remember, they're two completely different play styles of players. They both play in the same position midfield-wise, but they're a lot different in how they play with the ball and things like that. So I would like. Don't get me wrong. I think give it the next call up. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Linton gets a call up because watch Newcastle in the next few games. They're going to stun teams. Sorry. And if we're still sat in like top 10, top 5 come the winter. Just mark my words. We're going for Champions League football next year, without a doubt. But anyway, that's the end of the live stream. Obviously, don't forget if you are watching it back on YouTube. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and obviously leave comments because I do like to reply to me comments. I like a bit of interaction in the chat. Obviously, last video I did leave a like target. We smashed it again. We're smashing these like targets, which is great. I'm absolutely over the moon with smashing these like targets. Obviously, we're nearly at 800 subscribers. We're smashing them in as well. If you're new, obviously don't forget to subscribe. We'll get that 800 subscriber mark. And it'll be absolutely amazing because it was only felt like yesterday we were celebrating 300 subs. So it's crazy. We just grew really well as a channel. Obviously, if we can smash another like target of 20 likes again a day, that would be great. It'd be much appreciated as well. For all you that are new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. And thanks to everyone that's got involved in the comments. Well, the live comments, should I say. It's really appreciated. I do like that bit of interaction in the chat. It's always nice to have a talk with others as well. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next live stream, which I'm hoping will be in the next, well, hopefully tomorrow when we can talk about Isak signing, because let's be real, he'll be announced by, give it an hour. Right. Anyway, see you later, everyone. Goodbye.